Started trading in 2017, grew 400% year on year, first 2-3 years.
400%.
It was amazing. But it didn't come with its challenges. Guess what? First consignment in, 40% return rate.
Shit.
40% return rate. Here I am trying to build a brand for trust, and now all of a sudden 40% of your stock comes back. What do you do?
Have you ever cried during this process? Like, have you? Yeah, no, like, because I'm doing business. I know I've cried in my business a couple of times.
Are you looking to make a quick buck? Or are you looking to build a business? No business is perfect. There's always ups, there's always downs. Even if the first one is a downer, what is your ultimate goal? So my ultimate goal is always to build a business sustainably and be around for a longer period of time. Honestly, when you're bootstrapping, what you need to do as any new business, keep your business lean as possible.
What do you mean by that?
Expenses to the bare minimum. Do what you can. If you're a founder and an entrepreneur and a person who's just starting off, you are everything. You have to become the jack of all trades. You have no choice.
You're listening to the Men's Forum.
Your guide to being a better man.
Here we talk about everything to do with dealing with the nuances of life as a man.
This is your safe space to finding solutions to any problem you could be facing as a man.
We're your hosts Rajveer and Shalin, and we're sitting down with guests who share their personal experiences and insights, adding depth and new perspectives to our discussions.
Today's guest is Umesh Bhojwani, the founder of Vision Plus, which is one of Kenya's most successful and leading electronic brands. Vision Plus has boldly positioned itself against giant brands like Samsung and Sony, and that requires serious courage and strategy. In this episode, we dive into his entrepreneurial mindset, uncovering the intricacies of what it's like to build a business from scratch. We'll discuss the key challenges, the common pitfalls, and the mental resilience that's needed to navigate the competitive electronic industry. If you're someone who's starting a business or you're running one and you want to take it to the next level, then this episode's for you. Let's get into it.
Umesh, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So one of the things I was reading your story, and one of the questions that's just been in my mind, it's like a burning question, is how does one build a business as successful as Vision Plus? How does that happen?
The honest answer is first just go for it and then figure it out along the way. It's not always a perfect solution or a perfect formula. For me, Vision Plus was it was a lot of passion. So I knew that there's a particular problem that I need to solve in the market, which was to have a Kenyan brand that would speak for the Kenyan population and a brand that people could associate with to be the brand for Kenya. So that's how the journey started. And I said, you know what? I know that this problem exists right now, and I need to find a way to solve it. And I just went for it. And that's how Vision Plus started back in 2016. And it came down to a lot of passion, a lot of hard work, and just believing in yourself and not wanting to give up when things get tough.
Where did the idea come from?
Family history, back to, early 2000s. Dad started his business in electronics, and 16 years later, in 2016, just before Vision Plus was born, I had come back from uni a while ago. So I had been in the family business for a while, and I saw this gap. And the gap was very simple. People in Kenya had to save for an average of 4 months to be able to afford something as simple as a television. What did that mean? That meant that most people could not meet the disposable income, and the brands at that particular point in time were too expensive. So I said, you know what? We need to bring an affordable brand without compromising quality and making sure that the customer is not left post-sale. And that's when the idea of Vision Plus popped up. And that was in early 2016. But by the time I drew the logo, put it on paper, there was a kind of a rough patch that we also hit, and we had to stop all family business operations. And it sort of probably gave me a bit more drive than and it's exactly what I needed at the time. And that's why I said, you know what, this is something that I cannot fail with. So drew the logo on a piece of paper. The name Vision Plus stands for a very simple thing. I had a vision to create a brand that both sells quality and trust, and plus was not just to be a brand. We wanted to be a bit more. So a brand that you could associate with, a brand that you can trust, a brand that you can call homegrown in Kenya. And so fast forward 2016 December, first container arrives, and we just went with it. And one of the quotes that has come very recently to me, but makes so much sense. And some people might think this is quite funny because it comes out of the picture, or rather the movie Finding Nemo. And there's a point in that movie where there's a phrase, just keep swimming, just keep going. Ups, downs, just keep going. And there'll be a point where if you combine those three metrics that are put together, which is passion, drive, and commitment, there's going to be a way out the other side of the tunnel.
So when you brought in your first container, what was the marketing strategy? Because you have so many big boys in Kenya, like Samsung, LG. These guys are so established here. Hotpoint itself, the big flagship with having so many brands. How did you beat the competition?
As I said, when my journey started, I didn't have an option. It was to succeed because of the situation I was in on a more family and personal level, as compared to, have you thought about the marketing strategy? It was all up there in my brain. It was never on a piece of paper. But the gap and the problem that we were trying to solve as a brand existed. And I knew that for sure. So when the first container got here, believe it or not, I didn't even have money to clear the container. I had to borrowed money to clear the container and get it into the showrooms and into the sort of retailers and wholesalers out there. But speaking of other brands, one thing that you need to know about Vision Plus, we're not here to compete with the tier one brands. Tier one brands are the brands that you mentioned, the multinational corporations, right? We're here to play a level below because we want to be the people's brand. So our greatest mission is to be the brand of choice. Brand of choice is going to take us a couple of years at least to build that trust, to be able to say, on a shelf, I have 20, 30 different brands, but I will actively and willingly choose Vision Plus over others because I know what I get in return. So for that value for money. So to answer your question, there was no set strategy on paper. It existed in my head and I just went with it. And again, it was not to compete. It was to build your own slice of the pie. That was more the focus then than trying to say, okay, what is the competition doing and how do I react to that?
I like that. I like the just do it. Because a lot of people get stuck in the whole, I'm going to sit down and make this very pretty proposal. I call that procrastination.
Yeah.
Business model.
Yeah, I'm going to come up with a business model and, now this, that. And then months go by and you just don't start what's needed to be started. Did you ever have like that procrastination phase? Because I feel from my experience, that has come from fear that something might not work out. And even though you have the drive of, okay, something's happening with my family and I need this now, man, those fears, they come in play. So how did you, first of all, did you feel that? And if you felt the procrastination, how did you kind of deal with that?
I think fear was there because of the level of responsibility it entailed. And back to the phrase, before you just keep swimming, you need to first start swimming, right? So I went with it because of my belief in the brand that I wanted to build. The part of sort of coming up with the perfect business plan, honestly, if you don't know, you don't. If you don't try, you don't know. So first, you got to give it a try. And I also asked this question: so what's the worst that will happen? And that crossed my mind. In fact, I was having a conversation with my wife. I'm like, okay, so we're in this situation. I want to launch my brand. What's the worst that will happen? I will not succeed. I'll go do a job, right? I'm looking for a job right now anyway. So really, is that really changing our situation? Does it solve the problem at hand? No, it doesn't. So stressing over something that may or may not work, there's only one way to find out. Try it. And give it your best shot.
So 8 years down the line, what can you say?
Wow, 8 years, a heck of a journey. 8 years down the line, started trading in 2017, grew 400% year on year, first 2-3 years.
400%.
It was amazing. It was really
Yeah.
good. But it didn't come with its challenges. So you remember you talked about, will it work, will it not work? Guess what? First consignment in, 40% return rate.
Shit.
40% return rate. Here I am trying to build a brand for trust, and now all of a sudden 40% of your stock comes back. What do?
How did that happen though? Like, why?
Warranty, right? I'm pretty sure you're giving out warranties.
So we do give a warranty. Even at that time, we're giving a warranty. We give a warranty right now. I went for price. But however, I did make sure that I told my supplier that there needs to be a balance between price and quality. If you send me a really bad product, you're going to have to compensate for it. However, that doesn't help the image and reputation of the brand, because that got tarnished very, very quickly. And the quick solution was, hey, Umesh, you don't know how to repair a TV. You don't have a service center, because we started with TVs. Replace. Simple solution. Bad TV comes, give them a new one. We'll figure out the rest later. It was just quick thinking, on your toes. And then I got a tech hired on a per piece basis, so like an outsourced tech. And I think that was the biggest eye opener for me. So customers were happy because they got new sets. I was left with 40% return rate in my warehouse, and like, oh God, what am I going to do? Got a technician to come in and contracted them on a per piece basis, and I sat with them every time they repaired. So I was watching very closely. Of course, once I watched him for about a month, I figured, hey, look, I know how to repair all of this myself now. I don't need a technician. So I started repairing myself. But what that taught me was every single component that goes into a TV, I was interacting with it myself. So what did that mean? Next product needs to be better. And I told him, hey, look, we don't have any more repairs. I saved the 500 pop I was giving that guy and put it in my pocket. Because at that time, you're delivery man, you are finance guy, you are offloader, you are accounts, you're everything.
A one-man show.
2016 was a one-man show. Wherever needed help, we could outsource. But in terms of operations, from offloading, delivering to the customer, making sure that they pay when they sell, because after that huge return rate, the next consignment became very difficult. So of course the supplier compensated, and those are all contractual terms. But at the end of the day, I'm left with a new market with a not so happy customer service rating. And actually, let me rephrase that. Not so happy customer rating in terms of brand equity, but a very happy customer service rating. Because I was
Because
there.
you're replacing and you're,
Yeah, because no one does that, right?
Guys, up to 2018, so that's year one. As consignments get, of course, the product got better, because that's one of our core values now. Because of that, our core value today, one of them is continuous improvement. Every version should be better than the previous version. So when this happened, and customer service was the key pillar, because what was happening was no one was trusting Kenyan brands. Till today, it's very difficult to get someone to trust a Kenyan brand. And that was one of the things that I wanted to change. So be it 12 a.m., be it 2 a.m., pick up the customer's call. It doesn't matter. I was doing customer support, so I was customer support after work hours, at work hours. Gosh, I don't even know what work hours are anymore. But at that point, there were no work hours. Every hour was a work hour. And I think that's what really is the key to our success from 2018 to 2020. We never let customers feel like we've sold them a product and now we're not there for them anymore. So fast forward to 2024, 8 years in business, 350,000 plus products in the market, expanded from just TVs into audio. We were key pillars, we're one of the first OEM brands to bring in a lot of the things into the TV industry in Kenya. For example, frameless TVs, Bluetooth in TVs. We took the risk because we wanted to change the status quo. And of course, having that at the back of your mind, every product that you launch next should have something better than the previous version. So now here we are, 8 years later. As I said, 350,000 products into the market. Still going strong, moving from TVs and audio only to now portable audio, We are in accessories and wearables. We have smart watches. We are looking at expanding into appliances, which have just arrived into the country. And I think we'll just keep growing from strength to strength and just trying to continuously deliver on our promise to our customers and try and become that brand for Kenya and eventually Africa.
I can attest to your sound bars. They are
Thank
top
you.
notch, man.
That's
Like,
actually what he was
really
telling
good.
me. I'm like, so how do you know about Umesh? Is like, I was sitting at my friend's house and he played from the music system and I looked at it. It was Vision Plus and I was like, holy shit, what is that?
So
Absolutely.
I didn't know you were the owner of Vision Plus. So when we met at Nushi's party, and I was just speaking, and then he's like, "Do you know Umesh?" I'm like, "I've seen him. I've seen him around." He's like, "Yeah, he's the guy we were talking about, that speaker thing. He's bringing a new speaker, and it's crazy. First, he only had one piece. He showed Roach. You should speak to him. You should speak to him." That's when I walked all the way, and I'm like, "Let's have
I
a
remember
conversation."
that conversation at the party. I'm like, hey, I can't be that famous. People are coming and asking me.
Hey, can I have your autograph? Just to take you back to your journey where it started, because I feel like that's what's going to be most helpful for people who want to start their own businesses. Dark thoughts, because you're in a place where finances are, and then you're getting a 40% return rate. How do you stick to I'm just going to accept this and just, because there's a lot of this short-term thinking of, I need to make this money now. I need to make it today. Otherwise, I'm done. So how do you go from dark thoughts like that of like, I don't know, I'm just going to take this TV and like background repair it and then give it back and say, oh, it's a brand new. How do you prevent that? Or how do you not give in to what are they called? The intrusive thoughts.
Wow. Look, it's a tough one. You just got to be strong in what you've set your mind to. And what I believe till today, whenever I have a conversation, back then it was, are you looking to make a quick buck? Or are you looking to build a business? No business is perfect. There's always ups, there's always downs. Even if the first one is a downer, what is your ultimate goal? So my ultimate goal is always to build a business sustainably and be around for a longer period of time. Be it a small deal today, be it 7 years ago. If today I'm knocking a deal and I know I'm going to make a quick buck on this deal and I know that I am shortchanging someone, it's not going to be a sustainable partnership. I'll make my quick buck, but will I get my repeat order?
But I feel like that's a logical frame of mind, right? But emotions get in the way. How do you regulate? How do you regulate those moments of panic and worry and anxiousness? And it's just like 40% return rate, bro. I would freaking panic.
It was interesting because, okay, so what happened with the 40% was we fixed it, we sold it for a cheaper price. But at that point in time, again, because of what I guess it's probably driven with a lot of personal situations in my life before I got to doing business and trying to manage the stresses and the challenges. So without talking about too much about them, it was a very tough childhood. A lot of things happened in my childhood. So it always became Umesh, the big brother, needs to step up. So over here was, okay, Umesh, the son, needs to step up. So it wasn't something I would say new. It was daunting, yes. But solution number one, heck, I used to listen to my music, step away from the situation. Don't try and make a rash decision. Go back and think, okay, what is it that I want to do? What is my option one? Weigh out your options. Option one, option two, option three. Pros and cons. In your own way. And remember, there's no perfect option. It's what you believe is the perfect option at that point in time. And that could be different for everyone. You do want to think about, okay, what is my personal goal, and move with it. And then you take your decision at that point. But one thing I would advise everyone is, if you take that decision, stick with it. Then don't go looking back and say, should I have done this? Then this would have happened. There's going to be n number of times in your business journey that you would have, okay, but I should have done this. But no, what about this is what I've done and I'm going to stick with it. And now I'm going to put my 100% attention to it. I think that's a very important decision that you need to make at that particular time. It's always okay. Take a step back. But always, for me personally, it's does me stressing, does me taking this other step solve my problem? And if the answer is no, then I better look for a solution.
What was your day looking like when you first started? Because you mentioned your wife.
Yeah.
And earlier we were on call today. You mentioned your kids. Did you have your kids back then?
No.
Okay. So
I was just married in 2016.
Okay.
The year we got married is the year where I can proudly say that shit hit the fan, and I had to get my act together very, very quickly.
okay. So what did that look like? What was your day to day like, and how did you maneuver that when it came to your relationship?
I think it was very open. For me, it's always been open communication is key. Oh my God, I cannot stress enough. Communication is key. Say it as it is. Say what's happening. Because surprises are not great sometimes. So she knew the entire situation. She knew what's coming. She knew what I wanted to do. So explained everything to her, what I wanted to do. Believe you me, before the day I decided, I had already applied for 140 jobs on LinkedIn. Because I knew where the ship was sailing, and I was like, okay, yes, I want to start a business, but I'd already had that plan B as well. So what did the day look like? Morning, wake up from 9, go to work. You'd offload what's there, put into the lorry what needs to be delivered, came down to where it was being delivered, offloaded it, make sure everyone received their stocks,
You had a lorry.
hired a lorry.
Okay.
So everything was outsourced. I could not afford a lorry at that particular time. I was paying rent for a small cage within a warehouse for every square foot that I used. That's how I was calculating my rent. And with repairs, it was just a shop that we had, and or rather a customer had, and then on that shop, the mezzanine would just tell him, hey, you buy from me. Can I use a thing for like 2 hours to repair some stuff? He's like, okay, cool.
Wow.
And that's you just have to. Honestly, when you're bootstrapping, what you need to do as any new business, keep your business lean as possible.
What do you mean by that?
Expenses to the bare minimum. Do what you can. If you're a founder and an entrepreneur and a person who's just starting off, you are everything. You have to become the jack of all trades. You have no choice initially before you can start affording salaries. I mean, heck, we had to take away the technician because I could save 500 a piece. That was money in the pocket, right? So that day became so long. From morning, in the afternoons, I used to repair after I've delivered. In the evenings, I used to go for the collection of whoever sold what and collect the money. As soon as I'm done, get back to no office. I had a little den somewhere and used to just work from there and put it on the accounting system. That one I digitized from day one. Put it on the accounting system and looked at what the day's sales looked like, balance all your books. This is about 8 p.m. Finishing up. By the time I'm home, it's 10:30 p.m. And this went on for 6 years, even after we started hiring, because the business was growing. So the demand of the business kept increasing. So 9 to 5 days was not even the question. It was more... Now I'm a morning person, but it's a funny story. I'll get back to that later. But waking up at about 9, getting to work about 9:30, depending on how the day looks. Sometimes at 6 if the container needs to be offloaded, and back home at 11 p.m. And then if you get back home, you'd have your dinner, whatever it is. Spend some time with the wife because I could sleep a bit late and wake up late, depending again on the day. Sometimes at 1 a.m. you're sleeping, the phone rings, I will answer it. And she used to ask me who is it? I'm like, it's a customer.
Yeah, exactly. That was what I was thinking.
I know what's going in your head, right? Like, wait, hang on, what's your wife saying? 1 o'clock, you're getting a call. I'm like, hey, it doesn't matter what time it is. I'm going to answer the call. Especially if I need to make up for all of that 40% return rate. This is the only way. And truly, it was the only way. There were some days that I was willing to take an entire loss on I'll give you an example. We sold a 65-inch once. First time we launched a 65-inch, made a mistake in terms of, there was a small board config. So the software is giving up on a particular customer. He was in Mombasa. I don't have a service center in Mombasa. I don't have a technician in Mombasa. The software is with me in my pocket on a flash drive. This is 2018. 2018 November. I just hired my first sales coordinator to assist me with selling and sort of open up the market. And I bought him a ticket to go to Coast for one TV to upgrade the software and come back the same day.
Wow.
Oh man,
And flight ticket.
that's
At that time, Jumbo jet to Coast was 10,000 return,
Yeah.
give or take. It's like, it's okay. Just go. I know we'll have to sell probably another 15 TVs to recover that, but that customer's opinion and review will matter. And truly, that guy referred us to 10 more clients. So it's important to know what you stand for. And this is why it was that status quo that we had to change. Kenyan brands cannot be trusted.
I also,
We don't know where to go. What happens if something goes wrong? Here we are. This is my personal number. You know where to reach me. 2018 was also the first time we opened a service center in Diamond Plaza on 2nd floor. And people appreciated that.
I also think props to your wife, man, for sticking through with that.
Yeah, I mean, she's been a big support from day one. And she's always motivated me, kept me in check when needed. And now till today, if like when we had kids, dynamics change. Well, you're a couple, you're just newly married, you can do the late nights, you can do the 6-hour sleeps. You don't have, apart from business responsibility, which I usually say Vision Plus is my first baby. But then after having my firstborn, I mean, Vision Plus is a dream that I'll always follow through to the end. And God, when it came to kids, life you had to switch and you had to adapt again.
Balance.
Adaptability is very important. But in terms of support from day one, oh God, kudos to her. It's been a fun, I wouldn't say it's been a rough journey because it is what defined me. So I think it's been a fun journey. Very fulfilling.
And I agree, man. Like behind every successful man, there's always a woman. People say that it's stupid, but I personally feel if you don't have your woman support, sometimes you can come home after coming at 11 p.m. You can come back and fall on someone as a man and be like, oh, this is what happened. This is what happened. I had such a rough day. And she'll nurture you. She'll calm you down. Otherwise, us men, man, to be honest, you'll go to a bar and have 2 beers and be like, okay, I feel better now. I'm going to go home and sleep. When they speak to you, feel, and trust me, even with us, with the podcast,
Yeah.
we're putting in a lot of work. And there's barely time for her. But she tells me, you do this now. Put in your time. When our time will come, we'll do what we have to. For now, let's push. She pushes on her end. Her business is, you push what you have to do. And trust me, you grow. And again, the conversations. Maybe the motivation that sometimes you just need a sentence saying, you know what, keep swimming.
Yeah.
You can do it. You're strong. You're stronger than you think. Maybe that one line can change your day. And you'll be like, okay, yeah, you know what? I'm going to wake up tomorrow with a different mindset. And I'm going to go heads on, right? Was there at any point that you seeked a business mentor?
I think I've had a lot of personal mentors in my career over uni and when I first did my corporate job in Australia. And when I came over here, I've had an uncle that I've looked up to, but I've never had someone handhold me and guide me. I think it's a great thing that people need to have. I should probably find one now, but given my situation at the time, it was too much happening too quickly. I didn't have the time to go and now seek some help. I took advice here and there, always. People who I looked up to and trying to do a bit of research myself. But having a full-time mentor is something that has always been recommended, and I highly recommend it. It's unfortunate that I did not get a chance to go down that path. I would love to. It's just been, let me call it the hustle and bustle of life that never allowed me time to do that because there was a lot of long hours.
So just fully learning on the job.
Bootstrapping all the way.
Wow.
And I'm not ashamed to admit that.
No,
It was
I'm-
bootstrapping along the way. Not a perfect business plan, a business plan in your head. You know it will work. You believe it's going to work. And I just went with it. Now, some people will call it luck. I just say I just put in a lot of hard work.
This leads to my next question. Would you mentor the people who are young, who are probably under you coming up with a very unique business idea? That
You know the honest answer? I wouldn't know how to mentor someone. I really don't know how I could.
We
I
built
could
such
give
a
them
big brand.
advice. I mean, we have a long way to go, and I appreciate when people say you've built such a big brand. And sometimes it's good to take a step back and say, okay, shit, we've done well for ourselves. So pat on the back, and then on to the next. Or let me rephrase that and say, what next for the same brand? But yeah, if someone came to me for mentorship, you ask me for advice, I give free advice. There's no, I don't feel like it's an obligation or I need to mentor someone to be able to do that. If someone comes and has a conversation with me, I'll tell you as it is. And yeah, I don't know if I can mentor some. Maybe I should learn some mentoring skills and how to really bring that part of me out. And by all means, if someone needs help, I'm always there to answer questions.
because Kenya is a tough market, man. Building a brand is not easy. So kudos to you, man. That's impressive. And coming down to your strong mindset, right? 2016 to 2024, you started as one. How many are you right now? Probably a team
28.
28?
28 today.
All right. So now you're a leader. What are some of the values that you'd put out there as a leader to manage those 28 people?
One thing that I would, if there's one piece of advice, inclusiveness. And you can't always be right. So you have a team, you have them for a reason, right? You want to build a team that believes in your idea and makes that idea your idea. Makes that idea their idea. So if they believe in that plan and they know that their value, or rather their opinions, are valued and they make sense and are sort of also implied or applied all across the business, then you feel a sense of belonging. Number two, organizational culture. People do not understand how important that is. How you treat people, whether it's your staff, whether it's people just on normal street, but organizational culture is super important. People should feel excited to come to work. People should feel that, yes, when I come here, I'm adding value and I enjoy being here. So it's not just another chore that you come Monday to Saturday, you do your 9 to 5, and it becomes very monotonous. And if it's not challenging and people don't enjoy coming to work, the best of teams will leave you. So why do you have a team? Because you can't do it alone. And for those leaders that think they can do it alone, and it's all about being, forgive me for my language, but autocratic, I'm not that kind of a leader, and I don't believe people should be. Those days of being very autocratic and very strict and stern in your ways, and you don't want to change and adapt to the new today, you're going to be left behind. For me, it's adapt or die, really.
Yeah,
I was not going to use die. Let me think of a better word. But hey, adapt or die.
Yeah.
And a simple example is something like AI. People sometimes will say, no, this is not the way. I'm sorry, guys. Adapt. It is real. It's here. And
yeah, can your next TV have some AI?
huh?
Can your next TV have some AI?
I think we're already there.
Yeah.
I mean, people are building. We did a podcast last week with this guy who's built a business on social media just using AI, making millions.
There's one thing that I've picked up from this whole conversation, crisis management. It's a course I want to do. How do you, now in 2024, you've been doing a lot of crisis management pretty much in the journey of Vision Plus. Coming now to 2024, what is, let's say someone's starting a business, what tips can you give on crisis management?
Wow. I think today's day and age has become like the way technology has changed. First, I would say, apart from having your plan, you need to be able to adapt to technology to help you become more efficient. So before getting to crisis management, have I taken some steps to make sure that in multiple scenarios that this doesn't happen? I mean, I'm not going to say crisis will not happen. Sometimes you can plan all you want, but some things will not work out, and then you need to manage them, right? And so first, try and figure that out. Have I done what needs to be done to make sure that I've covered myself in various aspects? Have I used the tools that are out there? Have I educated myself in what could go wrong? So that if something does go wrong, then I'll be able to manage it in 1 or 2, 3 steps. But there's another factor that you need to figure out. You can't do everything yourself, as I said that before, right? So if you don't know, do you have someone who can assist you in that? Do you have your team around you that can assist in the process should something come to that point? And when crisis does hit, first step, very easy to say, difficult to do, don't panic. Because panic leads to rash decisions. Take a step back and think about it. Okay, there is a problem. Yeah. Again, I don't know. It's just the way I think. Worrying about a problem doesn't solve the problem. So there is a problem. Recognize the problem. The biggest problem actually that's a lot of problems, but the biggest challenge I believe that people may have is accepting that there's a problem. I think that's very important. If you see there's something that is an issue or something that needs attention, attend to it rather than putting it or shrugging it on the carpet before a small crisis becomes a big crisis. So recognize that there is a problem. Once you've recognized and accepted that there's a problem, think of the pros and cons, or rather the flip side of it. If this happens and goes to the end, what's the worst that will happen? Whereas if I approach this in a different way, what can I do to mitigate the impact of this particular issue or crisis, right? And I think a good example, because I wouldn't say it's a crisis, but it's an issue. I'll give you an example of Vision Plus. This is happening today. We just went public with this 2 days ago. So one of our products was, because of a third-party app, could not accept that third-party app anymore. So one of our Android products, which we use open source Android for, it's a TV, started giving issues with Netflix compatibility. Okay? And it gave issues because Netflix decided not to support a particular version of Android and below. Of course, Netflix being a powerhouse, there's licensing and we can understand the bigger picture. However, it affected our product, right? So what do? You're getting 50, 60 calls saying my TV stopped working Netflix, your TVs are not good, you have this. So one, recognize the problem. I said, yes, this is an issue. And I would say, I take a lot of pride in saying this. Vision Plus is the only brand that came out because I know it affected. We're in the industry, we know who it affected. We're very proud to come out with it and say, guys, this is a problem. However, this is an interim solution to the problem. This entire issue that has been caused is not in our control. We don't own this third-party application. We have no control over how many versions they decide to support today, tomorrow, and 10 years down the line. Technology is changing. It's not like back in the day, you buy a product and you sit with it for 10 years. Right now, you buy a product, I'm sorry, almost 2 years later, it's obsolete because there's another better thing, right? How do you keep up with that? So we recognized the problem, came out with it in public, said we have an interim solution to that particular problem. This is how you go about it. We have a software upgrade. It will solve the issue, but it's not permanent. The more permanent solution is kindly purchase a newer version of that TV so that now you're up to date and it solves that particular issue for the next, let's say, 3 or 4 years before it's obsolete again, right? So recognize the problem, give a solution, give a more permanent solution. So there's an interim where people might not be able to afford a new TV. There's the longer term solution, upgrade, and then say, hey guys, even when you're going to upgrade, because we understand and we know and we value you as our customers, we're going to give you a crazy discount on it. We'll go as low as we can go so that you can now upgrade without having to have that inconvenience. So it's funny you mentioned that question because this is something that we just managed 2 days ago. And of course, it was a battle in-house to be able to say, hey guys, are we going to announce this or should we just wait and watch? My opinion has always been, it's better to come out. Today you'll face slack short term, but longer term, you will build brand equity and you'll build trust. So that is more important to me as a business owner than it is to have our customer service and our operations swamped for a month. So I think that's the way I think.
Yeah, because it's like COVID. It's something that you don't expect, and it's there. Then now it's all about seeking solutions. I think that was a super strategy, man, of what you guys did.
And the value, your value of open communication, you can just see it shine through like your business.
Yeah, I'm hoping people will appreciate that, and I know that people will, because the consumer today is no longer your generic average consumer. They're very educated, and taking them for granted also is not good. So it's good to be able to come out and say it as it is, because then people will either see you for the truthful brand that you are, or they'll be like, okay, I'm moving to the next. But again, you need to be able to balance that very very effectively.
If you had someone who's starting a business from scratch, what would be the top 5 things that you've learned over your time? 5 is 5 too little, or we go 10?
10 would be great.
Okay, let's
There's
go.
a lot.
Then you're sharing. Then you're sharing pretty much all the secrets of Vision Plus.
But you can list as many as you can. Feel free. But yeah, what are the top things you've learned that you wish you could go and tell Umesh in 2016?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's a lot of things to consider. But I think today, starting business today is very different to what you would have started back in the day. So to be able to say, to go back to my old self and tell him something would be learn finance better, know your numbers better. That's one thing that I would definitely want to do better.
What does that mean?
The numbers are the heart of the business. My background is management and marketing. So I'm an operations, getting shit done kind of a guy. And then I think about the numbers later. Get your numbers right. It's very, very important to get those numbers right. The tools are available today that were not available 8-9 years ago. So you have greater access to information. Don't refuse to use it. Use it to your advantage, and then make sure that you know that what you're about to take a step into, you're informed. Back in the day, when I decided, it wasn't that I wasn't informed. I had some experience in the family business, and I saw a gap in the market. So as much as it was not on paper, it wasn't just a deep dive. There was a problem that was recognized. So know what you're trying to solve. Thirdly, I think I mentioned this before, initially, keep your business lean as possible. You'll thank me later when your cash flows show it. And then you'll see the P&Ls. So being lean is important. And then number 4, I think it's, if you believe in it, give it your absolute best shot. Not without showing it for someone else. It should mean something to you, and do it and give it your best shot. It's a lot of hard work. Money is not made overnight. I mean, a lot of people might disagree with the tech and like what you said before, but it's something that you have to commit to. And number 5 is, it's okay to make mistakes, because mistakes will make sure you do it better. So don't be afraid to make a mistake, because sometimes a mistake can lead to the greatest success and a story that your business might ever have. In fact, today, if you look at the multinationals, they have a budget for mistakes. Honest truth. I have a friend who works in IBM. There's a budget for mistakes. They're going to do 100 projects. 90 will fail, 10 will succeed. But the 10 that will succeed so well. And so I've touched on about 5. There's one that I had in mind. I've kind of just lost it right now. And I think it's good to sit back and reflect. What's my journey been? And where do I want to be over the next 3 or 5 years? And a great example, or rather advice, which I would quote, I got from a book that I was reading. It was dream for years. And It stuck with me. So dream for years, plan for months, but live for the day. So you know your long term, you know your medium term, you know your short term, and break it down and do it step by step. And you have a far higher chance of success than someone who's procrastinating, thinking about, oh my God, what's going to happen 10 years later? 10 years will come. But what are you doing now to make sure that that's better later? So that stuck with me. And I think, in a nutshell, that's some of the little advice from my experience that I can give people.
What was your one of your biggest mistakes within your journey, and you've learned or you've come out bigger from it?
Wait, before we get into that, have you ever cried during this process? Like, have you? Yeah, no, like, because I'm doing business. I know I've cried in my business a couple of times.
I don't know if people will believe me, but no.
Okay.
I might have. Okay, maybe I've cried without the tears coming out. Let's put it that way. I've definitely looked back and said, damn, it's getting tough and it's overwhelming. But yes, it was tough. There's days that it's tough. You're overwhelmed. I wouldn't say that I haven't cried. I probably have cried, but for me, crying is kind of different. It's not complete wipe of tears. And sometimes I think it's very important to mention, and this is probably slightly off topic because I had a discussion for this for Father's Day. Men think it's okay not to cry. I mean, men think it's not okay to cry. Guys, it's okay to cry. We all have emotions. So, for me, my crying was different. It's like a tear that just comes out of the side of the eye, and that's my crying done. Some people sob, and it's okay because it is a way to make yourself feel lighter. And back to your point of having a partner, extremely important. That's one of the ways. So everyone has their way to de-stress. It's either music, it's either your partner, it's either crying, and it's okay. So yes, there are tough days where you will cry, but it's okay to let yourself feel a bit better so that you can come out stronger.
Solid. Now you can go back to the big mistake.
I've been thinking about that since you asked me the question. What is the big mistake?
But I think just going back to just everything you've discussed so far, you've just said, don't be afraid to fail. So when you are already operating that mindset, you don't think of mistakes as mistakes. You just think of them as, I tried, move on.
No, but there's some business mistakes that you grow out tenfold. Just the way you said, if you improve on the motherboard, you figured it out. Okay, if the motherboard got better through the supplier.
The question is it a big mistake or was it an opportunity to learn and educate myself to make the business better? Because if I didn't make the mistake of quality and price, because I went for price, okay? First big mistake, I went, you know what? Give me the cheapest price. I want to get into the market. I want to make money. This is my pressure. Mistake happened. Crisis hit. But what happened next? I built a better product. So mistakes are, I don't want to say ever that there's a big mistake. Yes, there are those multinational mistakes, if I may say, that where your share price has tanked and something grave has happened. Different story. But for a private business, when you're just starting out, you cannot say you will not make a mistake. So don't be afraid to make them. The biggest mistake was probably my first one. Because the biggest in terms of loss of revenue, but also the biggest that taught me the most about a TV. And today I can assemble and disassemble a TV and pick every single component. Did you know Vision Plus is handpicked in Kenya, designed in Kenya, and only manufactured in China? Because of that mistake.
Let me dig into your supplier chain. Like, how did you choose your suppliers? Do you go and see them, or how do you know this guy is good for, let's say, the screen? This guy is good for the frame. This guy is good for the aux cable. I'm just throwing it out.
I think the first time when I ordered, it was just one supplier that gave me a completely built unit, right? So right now, from this year, we got into assembling in Kenya. So that changed perspective a little bit. So of course, over the last 7 years, it taught you a lot about what are the components and where you need to buy from. But initially, it was just reference that I went through to be able to get this particular supplier on board. And that's why those contractual terms of if something goes wrong, then boss, you're going to be responsible. Because I didn't just want to go for price. There had to be some level of quality. Because imagine if I did, then what? Did 40% mean 80% return rate? What would that mean? And what would that look like at that particular point in time? So at that point, it was a lot of references here and there. But now I can confidently say after visiting China, the second year of operation, so 2017, actually first year of operation. 2016, the container arrived. 2017, we started trading. By February, March, everything was sold in those 3 months. Of course, now it's like, okay, I want to go to China and figure out the thing. So I went for the fair, and now I can confidently say I know almost every good TV manufacturer in China, the top ones. So you start dealing with them. And I think it's a lot of relationship building and network building, and that takes time. It's not an overnight thing.
What was your pivot? So we've spoken about TVs. Let's get into the speakers and now the other appliances that you're bringing on. What made you pivot to it?
Market demand, if I can truly say. I didn't know. Up until 2023 December, Vision Plus was supposed to be a consumer electronics brand that focuses on entertainment and CAV. It means consumer audio visual only. So my inspiration was drawn a lot from Sony. Sony is a brand that does only audio visual. They don't do appliances. Come 2023 December, so we meet a fellow entrepreneur. And the guy's like, okay, I do accessories and wearables. I'm like, have you ever thought about it? He said, boss, I do this and I do this for this particular brand, and this is how we distribute. This is how the channel works. I'm like, this is a super interesting space. It's like, so do you want to do it? I said, okay, let's do it. And we built this range of product together. I didn't know what a mobile accessory cable and how the different specs in it is. Do you know a cable has like 20 different specs? A small thing like a cable.
I don't even know what a spec is.
So
Just do Type C.
yeah, so different specifications, the amps, the amount.
Specification. Oh, that's what you meant.
Oh, sorry, boss.
There you go.
Legal. There you go. This is the jargon, the electronic jargon. No more acronyms. So the specifications into what goes into a cable are like 20 different ones, depending on the amperes, the thickness of the cable, the length of the cable. And this is taking you back to like physics in year 8. Oh, the longer the cable, the higher the resistance. So you need to increase. And like, I'm like, wait a minute. All this time in school, we used to ask, where am I going to use physics? Well, there you go. You're using physics in your daily life. So yeah, we built this category together and became from accessories. So built this new line of product. People were asking for it. In fact, before people started asking for accessories and wearables, people started asking for appliances. But I always put that on the side. I'm like, hey, white goods, I don't know about it. I don't think we're ready for it as a brand. So we kept building the TV category. Then we were the first to invest heavily into soundbars. And now it's taken 2.5 years and soundbars are finally picking up the pace. So back to accessories and wearables. We've done TV, we've done audio. What's next? I mean, today we have TVs from 32 to 75 inch. How much bigger are we really going to go as a tier 2 brand, right? And how much more can we innovate there? Okay, are we getting saturated? Let's move to audio. Audio launched 3. We have 4 models in soundbars. And then we said, you know what? Accessories and wearables, there's a space, it's cool. You start using AirPods. People started using all of this. So it was already a thought in my head. All it needed was some probably conversation, and it developed into an entire product line, which we launched this year, May.
Nice.
And again, having a good team
Yeah.
and innovating or dying. Right?
Adapt or die.
Adapt or die. Yeah, adapting or dying. Yeah.
So the demand was there. Opportunity was there. And we're going to do it. Let's do it properly. So we decided to launch the full range. First, I launched just 4 products, a Bluetooth speaker, pods, and a party box, which we called Beatbox. The range was not enough. And that was quickly apparent because you could see the performance. So, yes, launched it. It didn't do crazy numbers, but it's okay. You know what? We figured you need more assortment because they go together. So what do? We go partner with someone, build a new product category, And now we're full on into it. And then now we're going to invest into it and make sure that we try and make it the success that it can be. Still under the Vision Plus name. That name is not going to change. So a lot of people, there's a point I will talk about where it was a big debate internally as well in the office. And the debate came about because now we've done accessories and wearables. People are asking for appliances. It's been 2 years. 2 years, people ask for appliances. When are you bringing Vision Plus appliances? And I said, guys, I don't think we're ready for appliances yet. And last year, November, I went to China. And I sort of just explored a little bit, got some more information. January, I was like, you know what, guys, we're doing appliances. Because how can we not attend to the demand that's coming from the market? Are you not going to listen to your customers? These guys are the ones who built you, right? So let's listen to them and let's go for it. Then comes the big question in my head. Vision Plus fridge. Hey, how's that going to look? How is that going to sound? What are people going to think about it? Because the name was conceptualized over thinking about TVs and audio and CAV only, right? So CAV again, audio and visual. It was never conceptualized around having appliances, accessories, a smartwatch called Vision Plus. It started playing on my head. So what did I do? And this is where people should really get their team involved and seek opinion. You don't have the answer to everything. You can't. It's not possible. So I got the team into a room and I'm like, guys, what do you think about this? And everyone's like, do we do Vision Plus appliances? How will it look? Our logo. Thought about it, debated it. We said, okay, how about we launch a secondary brand and then say, by Vision Plus. So, Homely by Vision Plus. How would that look? Have we built enough brand equity? So a lot of these questions start popping up because the appliance category and going into large appliances is a whole different beast altogether. And the team and I always sat down like, hey, guys, let's think about this. We left it at that. Like, what are the pros and cons of changing the name? People, you've built 7 years of this name. Like, people know you. Yes, they know you for TVs and audio, but there is some brand equity that you've built, right? Why not ride with it? So I left that conversation in the boardroom, walked out, and I met Ruch, my friend. So he's into marketing as well. And I was like, guys, I asked my friends as well, guys, what do you think about this? They're like, hey, Umesh, you're really overthinking this thing. I was like, yeah, vision is visual. Plus is more. So Vision Plus on a fridge, how does that look? It's like, hey, okay, clearly you have overthought this and it's gone way too far in your head. Let's bring you back a little bit. You've built brand equity. Don't let that go. Because again, you'll have to start from scratch if you change the name. And I said, you know what? Go back. No, Vision Plus the name needs to carry on irrespective of whatever product we launch.
I would have given you the same advice.
And we repackage.
Yeah, even I was
Same
thinking,
like
it sounds
Vision
so
Plus,
good.
it
It
sounds-
sounds so good.
See, but then again, now this is I don't know whether to even call it a founder's block or like the limitation of this wall that you've put in front of yourself. Again, team helps you break that and then you move on. And now we have from 7 SKUs for 6 years. Now we're at 30 SKUs.
Wow.
And growing. I think by the end of the year, we'll probably be at 35. So it's a big jump.
You mentioned numbers a while ago in the podcast. What's your mindset on money? Like, are there certain pillars that you think about when it comes to your own finances versus business finances? Because, and I'll say this from context, I grew up with the sentence of money doesn't grow on trees. And there's a lot of people who have grown up with the same sort of programming. So that's kind of the context of my question.
Money doesn't grow on trees. It's such a famous line. I believe it's very cultural, especially for the backgrounds that we come from. Mm-hmm. It's one of the things that I don't think we fail to hear. I think for me, money, people might not like, money is not primary. Money is secondary. Drive, passion, purpose is primary versus money. Yes, you need money. I'm not saying you don't need money, guys. It's something that you need daily, right? And you use it daily. But it's not the be all end all. For me, it's about having a comfortable life. To be able to give back is also very important to me. And to be able to have that life where I don't want to be let me not say I don't want to be a billionaire, but it's not something that drives that.
You're going to be
If
successful.
I want to be successful in my own view and not to impress a third party. It's about what I want to do. And if I'm able to have that comfortable life, go out, go on a holiday, not think about where the next meal is going to come from. Yes, it's not about getting that level, right? So it's more about, guys, does this make me enough money? Am I able to employ 10 people? Gosh, I think that's a beautiful thing. We are directly employing 10 families. They are directly employing someone. So it's a big network that you go. And if you give back to society, there's a way that you're going to get it back. And that's why money, for me, is secondary. But if there's one thing that people should definitely follow in a business is, which I never used to do for the first 4 years, I reinvested everything back into the business to grow the business. It's important to take something out. Make that a habit. Something I did not do, and what I would advise people to do is on the money side of thing, whatever you save, if you have 100 profit, if you want to reinvest 95%, do it. But take 5 out.
And channel it.
And put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to put in a savings plan, whatever you're going to do with it, bring it out. Because that is what will grow a small capital for you to start earning passive income.
So passive income, you mean take the 5%, invest in something else.
Yes. Not putting everything in one basket. For me, it was, this is the only basket I have and I'm going to put everything into it. It was my strategy at that point in time, given the situation. But today, it's good to have multiple sources of income. And that's what I started doing about, 2.5, 3 years ago. Pulling something out. So not just paying yourself a salary, but also when you do manage to make some money, pull something out, put it somewhere, understand different dynamics, and be able to build your portfolio over time.
A lot of people have that money aspect of their lives very wrong. You know, it's very, I want to build the business for the money. And I've seen it for myself, and I'm also seeing it with you, clear example. When you build a business based on wanting money, then you don't focus on things like, your customer satisfaction. You don't focus on the things that the business actually needs. One of the things that Shalene and I consistently discuss about the podcast is the impact that we want to make. Once in a while, we'll be like, oh my gosh, yeah, the followers, the growth is a little bit slow. But we always ground ourselves in the fact that we didn't start this for followers. Yes, more followers will make a bigger impact. But then what if we can just help one person, one man live his life just a little bit better? And when you think about your business, that, what if I have just one customer who really enjoys my product, he's going to rave about it. So you're not thinking about the money, you're thinking about the impact.
Yeah, it's a ripple effect, right?
Yeah. In all aspects, actually. I think when you think about impact, look, guys, I think it's great because impact is not just felt by customers, and the ripple effect you talked about. For me, I'm going to be blunt and honest, right? Because honestly, it's just the way I speak. There was a point in time where things got really tough. Post-COVID in the office, the economical situation, nothing in your control. And I remember the team being very skeptical as to what would happen. So what I decided to do was go and give them a short, like, guys, look, it's okay. We're not laying off anyone. Everyone will get the salaries. And that's really gave a sense of comfort. And the flip side of it is I remember we hired someone. And to be honest with you, at the time, there was no role. I created a role because I knew that this person needed to be helped, right? And I'm not trying to say this because it's me doing, but what did that do? Like, that mentality opened a new role within the organization, which then became almost the most important role now. that role was of a data analyst. I was like, okay, data analyst. Do we really need a data analyst now? Does it come later? Do you know what? Let's give it a go. This person, I don't know. For me, currently, this role doesn't exist. But this person joined us. The guy is super happy because now he has a family, he's taking care of his family. And then the value that brought back was so the other way around. Like it came back to me and said, oh my God, data is where it is at. What are you doing? You need to start using more data, collecting more data, and using that to inform your decisions. And today the data analyst and that particular role is so heavy on everything that we do. So something small like that. So impact is not, it's not just the customer, it's much wider. And the ripple effect you talked about is super true. And once you start doing that, and of course this is very personal to me because it's one of the values. It's the values that I've brought up, I've come up with. And I think it goes back to what we personally faced and the challenges that we had, right, as a family. So you're like, okay, cool. Do you know what? If I can help someone, then why not? And eventually, there's times where you think back you put on your business owner hat and you're like, budgets. Do we really need so many people in the organization? Is there something that we can do? And then you go back and say, no, but then why did I actually hire them in the first place? Yes, there's a need, but there's also sometimes a little soft spot that gives in. And I am heavily criticized for this as a business owner. But I do it proudly, whereby we may spend, when I say spend, it could be a hire, it could be anything small, that may not be approved if I was reporting to, let's say, a board of directors, quote unquote, but I do it anyway because I know what I'm trying to achieve with it. So it's a whole different ballgame, guys. I don't know.
It's value addition, right? The more you put in, it's like a plant. When you put a seed, you're not going to see the fruits, but the water, you put water, fertilizer, then you'll see it grow slowly, right? Depending on the kind of plant it is. And we're speaking about this right now. I was changing and we were just having a conversation, and I'm like, there's something that I read. A manager wants his employees to make him feel important, but a leader makes his employees feel important. So what you're doing, it's perfectly fine. I agree, because if you have empathy and you understand, maybe yes, he has a family, he's probably going XYZ. Yes, maybe put in a little more, but trust me, the value addition after is tenfold.
It's good karma.
Yeah, it's good
Like
karma.
energetically speaking, it's just like huge.
And I think what this brings me to next is, what is the dream for Vision Plus? We've talked about expansion, but the true ultimate goal for me, for Vision Plus, is a company that is owned by the people, run by the people, for the people. That is the ultimate goal that I would love to one day achieve when we get to that scale. So this is being done by a lot of companies now, but for me, it's always been, if you own this, if you take ownership. Me sitting in my office is not ownership. Shareholding is a piece of paper, but ownership down at ground level, from the person that you walk into, from the person who's looking at the unsung heroes, people who make sure that your office is clean, the receptionist, the guys at the store who are doing the heavy lifting of the actual product, the guys who are producing for you. If all of them have some sense of ownership into the company, I can only imagine what happens to that company. And that's what I want to try and bring to life. That's my ultimate goal.
Wow.
So again, it's not about the money. I want to build something. The money will come.
The money will come.
And
exactly.
It's not like I want to have $50 billion in the bank. For what? Live your life today, enjoy it. Yes, it's good to have it there, but there's a point where it's, okay, for me, in my personal, there's a point where it's too much. What are you going to do with all of that money?
Yeah. I mean, living in the present and also building a successful brand is what you're aiming for. Success will come. The money will come, success will come, and that same money you might reinvest in your people who will keep growing the brand, and never know what's going to happen in the future. Maybe we'll have Vision Plus or Vision 2.0 or Vision 3.0, never know.
I was going to ask, what legacy you want to leave behind, and that's the answer, right?
It is. It is to build, as I said, owned by the people, run by the people, for the people. The brand is already focused on building product for people. We're not going to be perfect. And that's why continuous improvement. The day we say we are perfect is the day we start going down. That's one thing I always say to the team. And if that sense of ownership can be achieved, honestly, if that can genuinely be achieved, I can only imagine what happens to such a company.
I honestly feel empowered even just after listening to that slogan. You know, it's definitely going to be like all over the reels and stuff, but that is powerful, man. Like, you as a leader even saying that, I'm imagining you in a boardroom and say this is our vision.
This is what we, man.
No, it's good. You're empowering your own people and they're going to push for you, man.
Yeah, it's a process. I'm not saying I've got the perfect formula, but it's cooking somewhere, and I'm sure that somewhere along the line we'll make it work.
Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast, man.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's been great chat. It's been insightful both ways, and I feel like it's been a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
A good takeaway, I'm just going to say this out loud because you just mentioned perfect is the day, when you say you're perfect, is the day you go down.
Adapt or die.
No, not adapt or die. Shalid earlier was telling me, he's like, we've become really good at podcasting. I'm like, bruh. Don't say that. Don't say that. That's the moment we'll start going down. So yeah, man, dude, amazing advice, and we hope like a lot of the viewers out there, people who are starting their own businesses and going through like some financial situations, they get some, info out of this, and yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Is there anything you want to plug in between if we've missed out or anything?
No, guys. I mean, if there's someone that from our conversation is helped, then I think I feel honored, really, and to be able to share that experience. So if whatever situation you're in, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. You just need to look for it. So it's yeah. And if I can do that, then I'm super happy, super stoked.
And for the listeners who heard him, he gives free advice. Just walk into Vision Plus.
Start asking him for I heard on the Men's Forum. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning into today's episode of the Men's Forum.
If you have any questions regarding today's episode, feel free to comment below.
And if there's other topics that you want us to discuss in future episodes, make sure to let us know in the comments, and we will see you guys next week.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Peace.